Coming into number 10, we have the Cheyenne Mountain Complex. This defensive bunker is used for military purposes and protection. It's located in Colorado Springs, USA. The bunker is protected by 2,500 feet of granite and is home to a mole city. Road signs warn against trespassing, so your average USA citizen would never know this impressive bunker is in their own backyard. Inside the bunker is stocked with essential sleeping kits, ready-to-eat meals, medical supplies, and 6 huge generators. One of the challenges facing those invited to take refuge within the highly secretive in-mountain complex would be learning to live without any sky. Basically, you'd be stuck inside very deep mountain while the apocalypse raged on.
Next up at number 9 now we have the lottery killer. This story comes from Plant City, Florida, where an inspection of an air conditioning unit led to a crazy discovery. During the inspection, the worker found a wall panel that looked a little bit out of place. When he pushed it back, he was amazed to find a carpeted walkway that led to a secret hidden room. The room had stained wooden walls and a carpeted floor. There were electrical cables strewn everywhere, a light switch, and even a bathroom that came out at the wall. There were also personal items scattered around, including 2 license plates screwed into the wall directly above the door. The story of this room spread quickly, and then a huge twist came. A man who heard the story came forward to say that he had some information about the house. It had previously been owned by D.D. Moore. She's the person convicted of the famous lottery killing in Florida, a murder that resulted in the death of local lottery winner Abraham Shakespeare. The license plate found screwed up in the attic was a match with D.D. Moore's car. It's thought that the convicted killer used this room as a place to hide from the police as they searched for her. Moving on to number 8 now, we have the Soviet bunker. In 2017, a man discovered an abandoned Soviet-era bunker and was amazed to find an almost pristine-looking area frozen in time. The man found the bunker while wandering through surrounding land near an old factory in Russia. He discovered a small concrete building and decided to take a look. After passing through a dark corridor and 2 giant metal doors, he found the main bunker, which amazingly still had a working electric light and ventilation. The place was loaded up with old newspaper cuttings, photographs, boots, tools, medicine, and even old gas masks. The boxes appear to date back to World War II. The Russian government has never acknowledged this bunker's existence, leading many rumors to sprout up online about when and why it was used. Moving on now to number 7, we have the scratching. This story was told by Reddit user Wacker. They said that when they first moved into their house, he was doing some renovations with one of his friends to make the place more suitable for his future family, including his pregnant wife. He was renovating the TV room in the basement when he noticed a closet which was inside the stairs. He never really noticed it before, so he opened it up and found another door on the left that was concealed. The previous owner had never mentioned anything about this. He went to bed that night and hardly slept at all. There were scratching noises coming from the basement. He presumed it was mice and made a note to put mice traps down the next day. Fast forward 2 months and his friend John was over to help with the renovation. He mentioned the basement and John insisted they go through this secret door to check out what's behind it. They tried to open it, but neither of them could open it all of the way. It was only half open. They squeezed through to a small dark room, too small for them to stand up in. They shed some light and saw that the floor and walls were made of concrete, except one wall on the opposite side of the door that had a giant 2-way mirror covering the whole thing. On the other side of the mirror was his own bedroom. The camera had a tape in it that was full of footage. Someone had been filming him and his family from behind the mirror for as long as they had been there. Perhaps this was why the previous owner never said anything at all. Next up at number 6 now, we have the Area 51 autopsy room. I'm sure many of you guys have heard of Area 51, the military base where conspiracy theorists say the US military hid the wreckage from the 1947 crashing of a UFO in Roswell, New Mexico. For many years this story remained exactly that, just a story. Then in 1995 a man called Ray Santilli released some footage that claimed to show an alien autopsy in Area 51. The film showed men in white coats apparently dissecting the dead alien in this mysterious room. For UFO hunters, this was undeniable proof that a UFO crashed in Roswell and that the US government was hiding the evidence from the public. Moving on to number 5 now, we have The Prisoner. This is another story that was shared by a Redditor. Nuke Storm said that he was exploring his new home one day when he found a hidden door in the corner of his attic. He only noticed it while moving around some boxes up there. The door was about 4 foot tall with a metal grate fastened over the hole. He opened up the door carefully, not knowing what he would find. Inside, he found a single light, a small hard bed, and walls with foam padding. At first it seemed odd, but not too scary. That was until he noticed one thing. The inside of the door had no handle and no lock. Whoever was sleeping in here was meant to be trapped in there, kept as a prisoner by whoever was on the other side of that door. The padded walls meant that if you were locked in there, nobody would ever hear you, no matter how loud you screamed. Who was kept here? Why were they imprisoned? And perhaps more worryingly, where are they now? Next up at number 4 now, we have the Mole Man. 121 Mortimer Road in East London has a secret. Back in 2006, the front of the house looked like a crumbling ruin. The roof had caved in, 3 of the windows were boarded up, and cracked paint peeled from the wrinkled walls. But behind the house lied something astonishing. The owner, William Little, had been digging holes behind the house since the early 1960s. By chipping away at the dirt with a shovel and a homemade pulley, he created a web of tunnels and caverns. Some of them were 26 feet deep and spread for 65 feet in every direction from the house. By doing so, he had shifted over 3,500 cubic feet of dirt. The council had been vaguely aware of his digging, but had no idea it had reached this extent. When one side of the street lost power one day after he tapped into a 450 volt cable, the council admitted that Mr. Little's tunnel were now putting the neighbourhood at risk. They obtained a court order to temporarily evict him in order to enable engineers to fill the holes with cement. Mr. Little was billed for the £100,000 cost. The Mole Man, as locals called him, was questioned about why he dug the holes. He only ever said it was a wine cellar. His neighbours seemed to think that he lied though, and there is much more to the story of the Mole Man. Next up at number 3 now, we have the weapons. The pictures you're about to see were posted online by a guy who bought his new house for pretty cheap after the previous owner passed away. He had already seen the basement when viewing the house, but it wasn't until a lot of stuff was cleared out that he noticed a suspicious piece of wood next to the stairs. When he tried to move it, it just wouldn't budge. He grabbed some tools and managed to pry the wood away from the staircase and the wall. What he saw inside shocked him. It was a small room, only about 4 by 4. Inside were gun cases, military ammo crates, and a big grey metal container. This was more than just a hobby. Whoever put this here needed a lot of weapons and guns. Also, there was a large safe. He estimated it weighed at least 200 pounds. One of the crates even contained a grenade. Then there was a bag full of hundreds of thousands of pennies. Why not keep money in notes to save space? Well, if the economy ever collapsed and money had no value, the copper in the pennies would actually be worth a lot simply because of what they're made of. It looks like this person might have been preparing for the end of times. Were they wrong about it happening, or is it still yet to come? Moving on to number 2 now, we have the subway bedroom. In December 2015, authorities in Berlin were shocked to find a secret room on the city's U9 subway line, specifically a bedroom. It was discovered during a routine fire inspection of the tunnels. The bedroom was complete with a table, chair, lamp, TV, and of course a bed, which was very neatly made. The next question was now, whose bedroom is this? Well, nobody seems to know, but there are some theories floating about. German social media suggested it may be students saving on rent, or perhaps artists staging some kind of performance. Authorities have a different theory though. They seem to think it was created by someone involved in Berlin's graffiti scene. Tagging trains and platforms with spray paint is still a common activity in Berlin. It's thought that this bedroom was the hideout of one of those underground graffiti artists. And finally, number 1 now, we have the House of Knives. In 2015, police officers arrested a woman who tried to stab an officer. When they entered her home, they were shocked at one of the rooms they found. The whole place was covered wall to wall with 500 bladed weapons. Photos of the home showed a number of dark rooms like this with hundreds of knives and several fake skulls scattered around the rooms. Fake severed limbs were also seen hanging in the home, along with fake skeletons with knives stuck in them. When police arrived at the house, they found her hiding in one of these rooms, lurking in the dark behind the many rows of blades. When she eventually came out, officers used a stun gun on her and quickly took her into custody. Nobody was injured. The county sheriff said the woman was a danger to the community and she faced a number of charges, including assault of an officer and resisting arrest, and with the Nope room. This was a name given to a room posted to Reddit by user Colombian Thunder. He found that his house had a bunker below it. After squeezing his phone through one of the cracks in the door, he took these creepy pictures. Look away now if you don't like insects. At first glance, the bunker looks like it's full of spiders, but actually they're crickets. They don't have fangs or the ability to bite. That may make some people feel a little bit better about this room, but others are probably just as creeped out. One Reddit commenter said, "This looks like both the scene in Aliens when they peeked about the ceiling tiles and the scene in Cloverfield when they turned on the infrared on the camera in the subway." Moving on to number 9 now, we have Joshua's room. A pair of house hunters in America were seriously disturbed by what they found in the basement of one house they were looking at. There were strange lookout holes in the stairs coming from the basement below. When they went down to the basement, they found graffiti written for what seemed to be a little boy called Joshua. The walls were covered with messages like, "Josh, stop reading this and go to bed. Mom." Another read, "Josh's rules. 1. No watching Isaiah through the hole, and 2. No writing or drawing on the walls." Another simply said, "Don't climb into my room, Isaiah." But for me, the most creepy one was, "Stop watching me." Who were Joshua and Isaiah? Why were they living in the basement? And who was watching them? People still discuss this story even today. At number 8 now, we have the Gargoyle. In 2014, Imgur user Hickensource shared their discovery of a secret room in their house. They said they were walking around their house one day when they noticed a window for a room they didn't even know existed. It looked like a cellar. Inside there was a workbench fastened to the wall. Then he found a wall panel cut, which he peeled back to reveal a door behind the workbench. Through that door laid a creepy looking room filled with junk. There were newspapers from the 1970s, old playing cards, a strange looking machine, and perhaps creepiest of all, an old gargoyle surrounded by broken bits of wood. Gargoyles are pretty creepy, even on a good day. Extra creepy when you find them in a secret room under your house. No thanks. At number 7 now, we have the Squatter. This one comes from Imgur user 2Bite Brownie, who shared pictures of a creepy discovery in his house. He said he and his younger brother were playing around one day when one of them fell into a bookcase. It moved, revealing a hidden room behind it. They found a black staircase that spiraled downwards. By this point, they were already very freaked out. About halfway down, they found a crawl space, and to their absolute horror, it looked like someone had been living there. There was a makeshift bed covered in their own Halloween candy. They realized that whoever was living there must have crawled into their bedroom when they weren't there to steal candy from them before retreating back to their hiding spot behind the bookshelf. I think at that point I'd either be running out the front door or just jumping straight out the window. Moving on to number 6 now, we have Black Mould. Jason and Kerry Brown were a couple from South Carolina who were renovating their new home in 2005. They began to remove some bookcases in one of the bedrooms when they discovered a hidden passageway that led to a hidden room. Nervously, they walked down the dark corridor, and there, in the very small room at the end, they found a mysterious note from the previous owner. It read, "You found it. Hello. If you're reading this, then you found the secret room. I owned this house for a short while, and it was discovered to have a serious mold problem, one that actually made my children very sick to the point we had to move out." Kerry and Johnson were naturally very shocked by this. They eventually made contact with the previous owner, who went into more detail about that situation. After some tests on the house, they found that it was true. The house had levels of black mold 4 to 5 times higher than the outside, potentially dangerous for young children. It seems that the house broker may have hid this information when selling them the house. Perhaps they should be thankful to the stranger and their slightly creepy note. Moving on to number 5 now, we have Bad Stomach. In 2013, some Norwegian students said their landlord told them there was a secret room somewhere in their house, but not where it was. That's creepy enough, but they actually found it and they took these pictures. One of them said it took them a long time to discover it, and said that it was actually found by accident when one of them was in the attic and just kind of stretched out. Suddenly, the wall behind them moved. Behind it, they found a tiny area filled with items from World War II. There was a mysterious sign that read, "If you have a bad stomach, you do not have access." There was also an alarm made of a single light bulb, an old map of Europe, and perhaps the most creepy object of all, a single white doll shoe. It was all quite a mystery until they were visited by some local historians who saw the post online. It turns out the room was used to secretly make newspapers during the Nazi occupation in World War II. Although they tried, the Nazis never actually found that room. All they needed to do was just stretch and push the wall. Simple. Next up at number 4 now, we have the crawl space. This one is a very small room. Very small indeed. Only enough room to crawl in. It was discovered in 2014 by Reddit user Lumberjack. He posted a picture to Reddit and what he discovered so far in it. The crawl space contained a strange looking locked door. Now through that door there was a room where the walls, floor and ceiling were totally covered in soundproofing boards and a plastic tarp. There were also 4 power outlets in a small area that looked like a raised single bed. The creepiest part was yet to come though. He found a briefcase. Inside that was an old jewelry box, envelopes with currency from all over the world and 4 1-ounce silver ingots. There was also a safe containing some old tapes. He couldn't play them though, and so decided to hand everything over to the police at that point. They refused to reveal the results of their investigation, sparking fierce debate about what this creepy room was all about. My guess is spies. It's gotta be spies. What do you guys think? At number 3 now, we have The Stranger. This is another squatter story. In 2013, Brett Muglin and Mark Hartman moved into their new off-campus house for their senior year at Ohio State University. After a few days in their new home, they woke one morning and found every door in their house had been opened. Everything. Room doors, the dishwasher door, the fridge dryer, washing machine, oven and microwave, all of them had their doors open. At first they thought it was just a college prank, but one day they heard noises coming from downstairs. They grabbed a baseball bat and a knife and went to investigate. When they reached the basement, they found a locked door no one had a key to, and there were sounds coming from inside. A few days later, one of their friends who was visiting said that they had met their new housemate Jeremy in the basement. Brett and Mark just froze and said, "We don't have a housemate called Jeremy." At that point, they called the landlord and the police, who went straight to that mysterious door. They prized open the door to find a secret room that a man had been living in the whole time they were there. There were pictures of him with his friends and family by the bed. The bed itself was unmade and there were books everywhere. The room even included a toilet and a bathroom. He had been using a secret side door to sneak in and out of the house. It turns out the man's cousin had lived in the house the year before, and when they all left, he just set up in this secret basement room. I wonder how long he was planning on staying for. Next up at number 2 now, we have The Last Supper. In Hanny's restaurant and bar, there is a secret room you can visit if you know where to look. You may not want to though. Deep in this basement in Arizona, you can find these dolls on display. At first it looks like they've been randomly placed, but on closer inspection the dolls seem to be set up to mimic the famous painting of The Last Supper. I presume the doll in the middle is meant to be Jesus. Either way, it's a very creepy sight to see, even if you are expecting it. If you just stumbled across it while you're looking for the bathroom, well, it's probably a good job you're already on the way to the toilet. And finally, number 1 now, we have Peter Pan. In 2010, 2 women clearing out an abandoned basement in an old building in LA made a very gruesome discovery. They found the bodies of 2 babies from the 1930s. The bodies were wrapped in sheets and hidden in 2 doctor's bags, along with some crumpled 1930s newspapers and other belongings. The trunk had the name J.M. Barrie on it. Now, she was a nurse from Scotland. She had the same initials as James M. Barrie, the Scottish author of Peter Pan. Yeah, the Peter Pan. What's strange though is that there appears to be no connection between the 2 of them. A copy of Peter Pan and membership papers for the Peter Pan Woodland Club Resort were also included in those findings. Coroners said there were no signs of trauma on the babies or that they had been aborted. One had reached full term while the other was much smaller and could have been born prematurely. This mysterious and grisly case is still ongoing, and many people online have taken it upon themselves to solve this mystery. Starting off at number 10 now, we have the abortion clinic. We are beginning now with a really intense one, so I hope you are all ready. I have warned you. In 2012, it was reported that workers on a house in Missouri discovered a secret basement which used to be an illegal abortion clinic. The workmen found 2 human fetuses stored in jars there. They were protected by ceramic containers and covered with a cloth beneath an old medical examining table. The owner didn't seem to be surprised, as he had heard rumors from his parents that the house was being used as an illegal abortion clinic back in the 1950s. Police were called to decide on what to do with the fetuses, but they said they would not be investigating any further. If that sounds like a very strange discovery, we are only just getting started.
Coming in at At number 9 we have the Greenbrier Bunker. Not so secret now, but still apocalypse ready, the Greenbrier Bunker was built underneath a luxury hotel in West Virginia. Above ground, the complex sprawls over 11,000 acres with 20 on-site restaurants and vast gardens, although that is just the tip of the iceberg. Below ground there is a whole underground bunker commissioned by the US government in the 1950s. The bunker was created as a secret apocalypse location for Congress in the event of nuclear war. These days people have been allowed to access the bunker to see it for tours because it's no longer in use by the government. Now if this is what they had 60 years ago, imagine what state-of-the-art secret bunker they have today. Sometimes sneaky little cheeky bunkers are hidden in plain sight, like this Swiss Getaway at number 8. I actually can't think of a better place to try and survive the apocalypse than the Swiss Alps. This house is built into a hill and has a specialized interior that makes it apocalypse ready. Apparently access inside the house comes via an underground tunnel that connects to an innocuous looking barn. I love this street view of this house. It's like normal house, normal house, normal house, oh apocalypse bunker. I bet the owners are popular with the neighbors just cause, you know, you never know. Have you ever wondered how the other half live? Well, check out this super exclusive secret bunker for billionaires at number 7. These 5-star luxury apocalypse bunkers are hidden away in the German village of Rothenstein. Now they house amenities such as pools, cinemas, restaurants, theaters, luxury apartments and indoor gardens. All total nuclear apocalypse essentials, am I right? A video of the space uploaded to the bunker's YouTube channel calls it an elite shelter for the privileged few. It claims it's the largest private shelter in the world at 5 kilometers in length. Prices aren't advertised, you have to inquire, but the news publication The Daily Mail estimates that they're worth more than $1 billion, so surviving the apocalypse is pretty pricey. You've seen one secret billionaire bunker, you've seen them all, am I right? Well, you're about to see another, so get ready. But this one has a wine cellar at number 6. Hooray! The apocalypse is here. Cheers! Let's get smashed. Actually, probably would be my approach. The Oppidum is a private apocalypse shelter that sits amid the Czech countryside. While not visible from ground level, from the air it's clear that the sprawling 323 square foot property is pretty special. Carved into the mountain, the bunker has above ground residences where people can live if they're anticipating danger. Then below ground they can have a safe zone if the zombies or the nuclear winter does ever come. Below ground residents don't need to suffer in squalid conditions. Oh no! They have simulated light gardens, libraries, pools, spas, doctors' surgeries, conference centres, and of course the vast wine cellar, which, you know, would be where you would find me. Far less assuming than the billionaire bunkers, we have a secret bunker in Brentwood, Great Britain, and that is coming into number 5. From the outside, this looks like a normal 1950s house. Nothing to see here. But oh wait. Kelvedon House was used by the government during the Cold War, but from the outside it looks like any other building. Inside though, there is a 125-foot tunnel leading to an underground entrance of a vast network of control rooms. Now this would allow for operations and communications to continue throughout an apocalyptic situation. There's also a really horrifying mannequin of Margaret Thatcher in a radio broadcasting room. She needs to go. Coming in at number 4, we have the Shanghai complex in China. The Chinese government have reportedly built a huge underground bunker complex spanning 1 million square feet. Now that's enough space to shelter 200,000 people in the case of a nuclear attack. That sounds a lot, but that's only enough space for 1% of the city's vast population of 20 million. The complex is said to have shopping centres, office buildings, dining facilities, apartments, and even its own subway system. The secret building is thought to have enough ventilation and protection to keep people safe from nuclear fallout for over 2 weeks. Similar to the somewhat secretive and new Shanghai complex, Beijing has its own old underground city, and that's coming in at number 3. Mao's Cold War era underground city was constructed in 1969 and took 10 years to complete. Chairman Mao was pretty paranoid about nuclear war and he wanted a safe haven. Many refer to this underground city as the Underground Great Wall. The city was built for military defense and at one point had 90 different entrances hidden around the city. The bunker has been abandoned since the end of the Cold War, and the mad lads at Vice even broke in 2009 to take some pictures. They found that the secret bunker network is still very much there, but might be not so sanitary in a modern day crisis. That being said, apparently there is hush work going on to repair parts of the complex, so maybe the Chinese government know more than we do. Coming into number 2, we have the Moscow metro system. The Moscow metro system is among the nicest in the world. It is filled with art, chandeliers and classical music, But there's actually a lot more going on beneath the surface than meets the eye. Legend has it that during the Cold War, Stalin built a whole system of secret trains connecting secret bunkers beneath the city. Now this extends far below the Moscow Metro. The secret bunker system is often referred to as Moscow Metro 2. Finally, at number 1, absolutely hiding in plain sight, we have Denver Airport. Okay, so hands up who lives near Denver, USA. Well, you guys are the lucky ones because you might just survive the apocalypse thanks to a super secret bunker rumored to be under the airport. Built in 1995, some people are convinced there is more than just airspace spread over the airport's 35,000 acre plot. Denver is now the biggest airport in the USA and went $2 billion over budget. Some conspiracy theorists point to a blueprint of 5 buildings that were seemingly buried during the early days of construction. Is this the body of a bunker? Well, as this is one of the most secretive on the list, we can't really say, but I'm thinking it would make sense.